4. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
cover because you don't want to hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
Jacob, are we ready? I can't see.
It's time.
Welcome to the Afterthoughts podcast.
Oh
Eclipse
my goodness.
Edition. Be careful, guys.
We can't look at this light or we can't look at the cameras. How does this work?
You just look into your glasses.
If we have the glasses on, we can look in the camera. But if we don't have glasses on, we can't look at the camera.
Do you guys believe in the eclipse?
Well, I roasted both my retinas yesterday.
Oh
Can't see anymore.
Why did you do that?
And that was right before the total eclipse. So honestly, I don't know if it happened.
Doug never got to see it.
Never got to see
He
it.
just couldn't stop staring at the sun, man.
Do you guys believe that it was real? Or was it AI?
Yeah. Well, since the beginning, man has been trying to blot out the sun. And for 2 minutes, they were successful.
So deep.
Yeah, I think it's just a political thing. I don't know who's doing it and who's against it, but somebody's for it and somebody's against
sure
it.
there's somebody.
And it's really going to divide people, which is a good thing. So
Yeah. Somehow we take a beautiful natural wonder and turn it into a divisive
Probably
thing. So that's
so.
good.
I
was
think
watching
we got
the-
one side that's just like, I'll just blow up the eclipse. I'll blow the whole thing up. You guys want it gone? I'll blow up the
You don't even
eclipse.
have to have it.
How do you do that, by the way? The whole
You
eclipse?
shouldn't. You can't do that. And if you do,
the
then
moon,
you're
the
gonna
sun, the earth, or the
ruin this.
eclipse? Actually, the concept, the eclipse concept.
I was watching the national championship,
Yeah.
Yep.
which UConn really made March Madness not a whole lot of fun.
Not fun this year.
But at halftime, Charles Barkley just harped on the eclipse. He literally was like, "Are you guys some of those idiots that were out there watching the eclipse?" And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Not gonna go outside to see it get dark. When I go outside tonight, it'll be dark."
It'll be dark.
cool,
Harped on
Charles.
it.
Okay,
Find
Chuck.
some
Not
joy
an-
from
not an
one
eclipse
thing in your
guy.
life.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Ever since the Monstar stole his talent in Space Jam, he's got an attitude problem, man.
That's right.
I'd love to have him on the show because I think he'd be hilarious and awesome.
There
But
was-
a
there
little
was-
bit of a tude.
There was a
Little
point
bit
at
of
which
a
it looked like the moon was on fire.
Yeah,
It was so cool.
Couldn't believe it.
I thought it was awesome.
But then I did believe it because I saw it.
because you were seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is believing seeing or is seeing believing? Only when it comes to an eclipse.
Actually, both. But for you, you only believed after you saw. Blessed are those who believe without seeing.
I Googled
Yeah,
something.
like me.
We were trying to figure out the difference of the eclipses yesterday, and there was news outlets had live now, live updates of the eclipse. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, what are you going to update? Everybody can see it. It's happening now. It's happened. Those are the updates for you today. Great news reporting.
That's like being at a sports game but watching it on your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, it's happening right in front of you.
I'm game casting at the game right now.
What I did enjoy yesterday was there was zero traffic the entire
Yes.
day.
It was the
That
best
was
commute
nice.
ever.
I was not expecting that. Even driving to work, I found out how many companies just gave everybody the day off.
Dude, for a 20-minute event.
A 2-minute window. That's
walk
what's
outside.
happening. kind
Dude,
of,
we had a great day of work yesterday, and then for 20 minutes we all went up onto the roof and
it was
enjoyed the
great.
eclipse, and it was awesome.
And then guess what?
It was-
We got back to work.
Yeah.
Well, because everyone
awesome.
thinks
a
at this
holiday.
point, at this stage of the world, if there's anything big going on, everyone thinks it's cataclysmic.
Yeah, yeah.
This is probably
Oh,
it.
unprecedented.
This eclipse
dude,
definitely is pointing us to the end of the world.
Dude,
There's no way we all live
this
through
is
this
an
day.
inclement eclipse.
Spend all your money, save nothing for the future.
Yeah, dude.
Live it up today. Store nothing in barns. Jesus even said that.
You know,
For the eclipse is coming.
For the eclipse is coming.
for people that are
This has
watching
gotta
on
be it.
YouTube right now,
I gotta take these off.
which if you don't watch, I was just gonna say, it probably seems like we are talking and can see each other, but I can't see a
Can't
thing.
see
No, these
anything.
things are, yeah.
They're really
They're
But you
very
can
impressive.
see
intense.
the eclipse with these.
I'm just moving my head to follow your voices.
Yeah.
Kayla, did you enjoy the eclipse?
I very much did. Yeah, I had a great time. Went on the roof.
You took some pictures.
I took some
Did you
pics.
tag the eclipse?
Yeah, I did.
Cool.
At the moon, at the sun. Apparently,
All the big players.
Did you post about it?
I did post about it.
You did?
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was hoping some people would post just so I could know if it happened.
I gotta read
Ethan
Ethan's.
Jr. He said that apparently NASA has a moon and then a sun account, and the moon
yeah.
account blocked the sun account on Instagram.
Oh,
Good job,
Awesome.
For
NASA.
marketing.
Good to know that scientists have senses
They
of
can
humor.
still have
Yeah.
fun, as smart as
Yeah.
they are.
You didn't know that,
That's
Ryan? Why'd you assume not?
It's my first time knowing. I shouldn't
Do you
have
think-
made that
Do
assumption.
you think the bad guy from Apollo 13
Ryan
was
hates
there?
scientists. That's the title of this podcast.
college.
Ethan's least favorite villain is the villain in Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Our roommate Tommy in college
Ed
saw
Harris.
Ed Harris. And he was like, hey, isn't that the bad guy in Apollo 13? And we were like, well, I think space is the bad guy in Apollo 13, not the
He's
guy.
just like the grumpy
But-
guy that tries to. He's actually the hero if you think about
Right
it.
before the eclipse yesterday, he texted this to Yumi and Corey, and I was waiting for it all
Oh,
day.
dude.
And it did not disappoint me. because I love how much this gets to you. And it gets to me also.
Towards you, Kayla.
No, sorry, Kayla. Praying that some people put content on social media about seeing the eclipse so that everyone else can know that it happened today.
That is Ethan to a T.
Well, it's kind of like when weather is happening and like everyone's posting. Oh, like there's a blizzard. It's like we know we live here.
No,
Right?
yeah.
That's not anyway. Corey and I once went down a whole like day of just harping on that. Speaking of Corey, he's coming
Friday.
to do worship this weekend.
Sure is.
Because when was it Notre Dame was on fire?
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone was finding a way to make it about themselves on social media.
Right.
Like,
Always.
I studied abroad in Europe. This breaks my heart. I'm like, this has nothing to
It's
do
not
with
about you. Why do we just make it about
my
you?
uncle lived over there for 2 years.
Yeah.
This just hits close to home. I'm like, no, it does not hit
Some
close
people
to
are
home.
having a really bad day. So let's maybe just
in
like
that
I
Pray
still
for
remember
them.
when I was 6 watching The Hunchback of Notre Dame Disney movie. This is just pray for me today, guys. This is a hard day for me.
Do you guys still have your glasses on?
Oh yeah.
The mine are off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be able to
for
know.
continuity, do I have to keep it on the whole time?
No. Take it off.
Okay, I'm gonna take mine off.
You have to take them off at the right time.
Wow.
yeah.
It was pretty crazy though. Like right when it got dark, it was like everything just went
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
How great is our God?
Honored
me.
to
How
get to
great
live
is our God.
at a spot
all will
where
sing.
it got to be a total eclipse.
Yeah, we were in the
people
path
traveled
of
from
totality.
miles.
Totality.
That was a big term to throw around. Kind of like there's some
that's the
terms
new
people say.
inclement.
Like, I know what I'm talking about. So
Right.
we're in the path of totality.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Understood.
Yep.
so we did
Understood.
experience it in totality.
We'll be traveling here because we are in the path of totality.
Yeah.
We
You
got
take it for granted.
we got Eclipse gifts from our friend Joe Hoffman that we wanted to show off since we are a
Yes.
Joe.
sports podcast.
Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Now
Yep.
we had
Wow.
probably upwards of 60 or 70 Ken Griffey cards growing up, but
Yeah.
the rookie card was always the coveted card.
It's the Charizard of
Joe,
Henry Jr.
thank you so much for this
Joe,
card. It's the
we love
Charizard.
you, man. Thank you.
Did you get a card?
Yeah, but it's home. It's
it's already hung up on
it's on the
your shelf?
nightstand next to my bed.
Who is it?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, you also.
Yep, I got that one too.
I got some
What about
Colorado
E?
sports. He gave me 4. I don't know what that says about our relationship versus yours, but Dikembe Mutombo,
Matumbo.
incredible.
Callback.
Dante Bichette, of course, Colorado Rockies.
Yes, yes.
Blake Street
Dante
Bombers.
Bichette.
Street.
Steve Atwater,
Of course, classic Bronco.
he was great
Yeah.
for the Broncos. And a signed Jonathan Elway.
Signed.
Oh, is it
Jonathan
really?
Elway.
Let me see
Doug,
that.
I'll let you hold that. Not for too long, though.
Not for too
Not
long.
yours.
Oh, can I take it out and dip it in the coffee?
Joe,
Don't
you're the
want me
best.
to?
Thank you for the
Joe.
cards.
Yeah, thanks,
Joe
man.
Fmin, as I call him.
Yeah.
Kayla, are you worn out from asking 30 questions last time?
Oh no, I
Great
can go all
episode last
day.
week.
Still curious?
Oh, still curious.
Still more to know.
Still so much more.
Oh man.
Okay, well,
The curiosity of a child. Childlike wonder.
Let's do
I
a
love
couple
it.
questions with Kayla. We still got to figure out a jingle and a little like logo for
Yeah.
that, but
we'll get there eventually.
We'll ask Corey next week.
Questions
Oh,
with
yeah.
Corey will.
Just have him sing one.
Corey will be on the podcast next
Yeah.
week.
Wow.
Corey Miller of Corey Miller will be here next week. So
It's
get
gonna
ready
be
for
great.
that.
It's gonna be
Kayla,
great.
Well
whatever
done.
questions you have left in the tank, bring
Yes.
them on.
So, since we just talked about the solar eclipse, what's the funniest thing you heard about the solar eclipse? Because
The funniest thing?
Yeah. Because there's, or like, you know, like the craziest thing, how everybody thought the world was going to end.
A meme
Let's hear
that
it,
maybe
Doug.
I can send to you, and then we can.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me see.
If technology works right, we can
Yes.
figure it out.
I've got my fingers crossed because I am a
Hey,
little stitious.
ChatGPT, can you send this meme from Doug to Jacob and then put it into the video?
Oh, now it's not gonna be
when he
authentic.
exports the podcast.
Because it's ChatGPT.
Here it is,
synthetic
so you guys can, and I'll send this to you
Yeah.
so you can put it up. It's like this is officially getting out of control. As the moon, it's leave a tip
For
You can
15
leave a
gratitude
tip.
to the eclipse.
and the
That's
caption
good.
is it's just gonna ask you a few questions.
That's so good.
Dude, that's so good.
That's good.
Love it.
That's good.
Oh, that's hilarious. Do you guys leave tips?
E-tips. Do I leave a tip?
Well,
actually, this
where do you
Yeah.
not leave a tip?
well, this is a hard
Subway.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I
the
worked there for
places
3
where
years. They never got a
if
tip.
you don't have a server that comes to your table and takes your
Right.
order and brings the food and stuff, then I always feel like,
Yeah.
well, I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. As for
coming
me, I
to-
do leave
you're
them a
just-
tip, but generosity is a pillar of my life.
Yeah, so good for you. Cool. Congrats,
That's cool,
Ryan.
guys.
Like
Thanks for
at-
answering my question. I'm just kidding. I'm with you.
At Starbucks,
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I always
Starbucks,
say
if I-
30%.
if I get a drink from my wife at Starbucks,
Yeah.
2 pump venti, caramel macchiato.
Yeah. Where that
Oat
takes
milk.
like some work.
Then I'll put like
And
it,
some
it says leave a
craftsmanship.
tip, and I'll go like, I'll give you. All right, I'll give you
Throw a
$1.
buck on there.
That's a generous tip for making a latte. But I get a drip coffee
So it's just turning around and
Yeah. You don't get a tip for that.
right.
Yeah.
It's already overpriced.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking about tips,
Yeah.
Kayla.
Yeah.
But I don't
The
think you should
Eclipse.
feel bad for. I don't
Right,
think you
right,
should
right.
feel ever feel pressured into generosity. And it is kind of getting out of hand. It's just going to ask you a few questions,
yeah.
and they're staring right at you, standing
Yeah.
there, and you're like, you know the question it's going to ask.
You
me.
didn't make the food.
No.
You just took the bag and now you're handing it to me.
And I'm afraid if I
supposed to
don't leave
tip
a
you
tip,
$10?
you're going to spit in this or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't
never
know.
did that, by the way.
Never,
Three
never
years
once.
at Subway.
You never sabotaged a sandwich.
Never. No, of course not. I'm a sandwich artist.
You are a sandwich
artist. Never do
Sandwichage
that.
is what they call it.
Yeah.
You made me a lot of great sandwiches over those 3 years.
I made a lot of them, Ryan.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Made a
think
lot of
that
them
we
for you
could-
for free.
Oh yeah.
You think that we could go to
Sorry,
a
Subway.
could we go to a local Subway and ask them if they'll let you make us sandwiches there as
Oh,
a
for sure.
former
They'll go,
10
"That's
I
Doug
guarantee
Wekenman."
you,
years? Oh my God. He's hung up in the back on the wall. 3 years that guy worked at Subway.
Most of them will be like, I don't care. Sure, come back here. I promise you.
Yeah, that's probably true. Come on, man.
I let my friends in high school, like, they'd come in. It's Friday night, and I have to work
the
until 10
integrity of the
p.m.
line in high school.
Yeah.
So
That's
everybody would
shocking.
come in.
It's a
Honestly,
cool experience.
Everybody would come in. My whole friend group would come in
Yeah.
at like 9:45.
Yeah.
While I'm cleaning up everything, and they'd even help me clean a little bit. But I'm like, guys, get back here, make your own
Make your own
sandwich.
sandwich.
Make a sub.
Make a sub. My manager's
want
not
it
going to care.
extra
We've
tomatoes
gone
for
through
you?
7 managers in the 3 years that
Yeah.
I've been here.
Yeah.
They're not going to care. So
And I would ask myself, do I want this toasted? I do. And then I
I
would
do.
toast it.
And then you put it in the toaster that Jim Gaffigan describes as the oven toaster from your freshman dorm room.
that bit on Subway. is so
Jim
good.
Gaffigan's Subway bit,
Yeah, stop listening
Some
to this
great
and go
comedy.
listen to that.
Very
and then
funny.
come back and listen to the rest of this.
of course, because Kayla's got another question.
I do have another
Cool,
question.
cool, cool.
This one I saw online and I thought it was funny.
Okay, we'll
So,
find out.
if you had to swap your legs with another legs of any other animal, which animal would you choose?
Another animal.
Yeah.
Cheetah.
I was just hoping for another
60
person.
miles. I was
gonna say
'cause my
LeBron
legs are-
James.
Yeah. I've got chicken legs.
Another animal?
Yeah, animal. Not another person.
in the head of an egret.
Jim's like, I'll do some research.
That
head
I
of-
mean,
I
so
love
if
that
I
it says
said if I said
egret.
a horse, would I be a centaur?
Kind of, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
know.
I'm going
Yeah, does he
cheetah.
get does he get just
Kinda
the,
have that
the
skinny
2
long
front
legs.
legs of the horse or the whole?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Just the I
Just
think
2 legs.
Oh, you only get
Just
2. So balance has to be
Huh.
So
taken
think
into
of
consideration
Narnia
here.
with whatever that guy's name
That
is.
well, Mr. Tumnus, but
Yeah.
he's got. Oh, he is that, but it's
Yeah.
like a goat or something.
Dude, maybe a kangaroo.
Yeah.
I'll say a
Kangaroo's
kangaroo.
Kangaroo's a good option.
not a
Yeah.
bad
That
option.
Hops.
Or what?
Ostrich?
Ostrich.
Oh yeah.
Fast.
It'd be kind of gross looking.
Yeah.
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 For someone that shames people when they wear sandals, Kayla, I'm surprised you brought up an ostrich.
I'd say
Right.
kangaroo so I could finally
wear
know what it
sandals
feels like
yesterday.
to dunk a
I did.
basketball.
Yeah, that would be
I
so
didn't say
fun.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Guarantee you I could if I had
They're nice
kangaroo
rainbows.
legs.
They
You
are.
could.
Yeah, thanks,
You
Ryan.
could indeed.
What'd you say?
Well, cheetah at first when I thought it was you get all 4,
4.
but
You're not gonna be able to balance.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna say a silverback gorilla.
There you go. Good one.
Yeah,
Those
you
guys are fast.
You'd be able to squat
I
like
could squat.
10,000 pounds.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be
Probably.
different Then
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Good one.
Good question.
Yeah, no problem.
Anything else?
I got one more.
Oh my gosh.
So I also saw this like joke / question,
Okay.
and it reminded me of the series that we're in, the I Am series. Okay, so here it goes.
Good
Says-
build up.
Yes, yes.
The
so
series
this is the
we're in,
segue into
The
the
I am series.
This is the segue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kayla's
okay.
good at a segue question.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
We
great
should get Kayla a
transition.
segue that
Not
she
to be
stands on
confused with Subway though.
on set.
So,
Even though
anyways,
she's off camera. It'd be a waste of money.
it says,
We should do
"I
it.
am a
Cool. We
ball
should do it.
that can be rolled but never bounced or thrown. What am I?
Say it again.
I am a ball that can be rolled but never bounced or thrown. What am I?"
One more time.
Okay. I am a ball that can be rolled but never bounced or thrown. What am I?
This is from. Did you say this is from the book of Proverbs?
Yeah.
I mean, a bowling ball,
I
maybe.
mean, that's a pretty good.
You could throw it, but it would do damage.
Yeah.
They don't
I've seen
bounce.
them bounce when you
You
throw
have?
poorly.
You have?
when you go bowling with my dad, he just tries to throw it as hard as he can.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
make a scene a little bit in the bowling alley? Okay.
Hold on, let me put on my specs and see if I can figure this out, Kayla.
You're
Alright.
close.
I am a ball, and this has to do with the
it-
I Am series.
Is it the
just
Earth?
just the start
Is it
of
the
it.
Earth,
It says,
Kayla?
I am a ball.
Is the answer the Earth?
Oh, or the sun.
No.
moon.
No.
Those are my three options.
The only way it has to do with the series is it says, I am a ball. So that's the only way.
It's just an I am statement.
I am statement.
Well, it is an I am
Oh,
statement.
that is the 9th I am statement
Oh, the
after
ball
I
in
am
a
Iron Man.
ballpoint pen.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's actually a really good answer, but it's not.
Thank you. It is, isn't it?
I've never thought about that there's a ball and a ballpoint pen. And you've still never.
Have you ever thought?
This is my first thought. You've never explained caffeine. Still, as you're drinking coffee.
yeah, today's not the
I can
day.
smell it. I can't see it right now. 'Cause
The
the
answer, if
Eclipse
you guys
glasses
don't
on.
know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell
That was
us.
a good answer, though. An eyeball.
Well, I mean,
You
it
can
fell
roll
out of
your
your head.
eyes.
Oh, you can roll your eyes.
Oh, well, I bet they
What
bounce.
if, what if,
Really good.
What if someone pulled your eyeball out and bounced it?
Well, that's not part of the question.
It would hurt.
So.
It would hurt. It would
Yeah,
hurt
the guy
bad.
in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
The
he
two
does.
comic
right.
relief pirates.
Yep.
One of him keeps losing
Yeah.
his eyeball and chasing it around the deck
right.
of the ship.
Just one of the
Yeah.
craziest documentaries I've ever watched.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
Really changes your perspective on pirates, right? Oh, they're
Yeah.
kind of fun.
They were more fun than
They're
we
nice
give them
guys.
You
credit
were
for.
in the
They make
documentary,
jokes.
right? You were in it.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, Orlando Bloom.
I learned a lot.
No,
Yeah.
that's in the knockoff Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there was like a really low budget Pure Flix version of,
Pure flicks.
I probably would still not not
Yeah.
make it.
Pure flicks of the Caribbean.
It's like the box of Lucky Charms and then the box of like Magic M's
Yeah.
next to it.
And then
You're
there's
like,
just a
that's what we're
bag,
talking
And you
about.
go,
Yeah.
Oh, this doesn't even affect me because I have my glasses on.
Blocking out the haters.
Well,
That's all I got.
I am so thankful for your question, Kayla.
wow. Another good segue.
I am your welcome.
That's not how you use that.
Well, okay.
Nice try.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Afterthoughts, by the way.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Athletic Greens. What else? Chick-fil-A. What other sponsors do we have at this point?
The Eclipse,
The Eclipse,
The Chosen.
University of Colorado Buffaloes.
Subway.
Oh, also now UT, the Longhorns.
Somebody gifted us. And we don't even know who it is.
We don't know what
A Longhorns
happened,
hat.
but
Mystery person.
somehow,
Thank you.
yes,
Hook 'em.
huge fan. And now we have the hat to prove
Absolutely.
But AG1, a comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients made for just about everybody. You heard it here first. Get your AG1 today.
it. It's so good.
I'm Ken Griffey Jr., and I support AG1.
Wow. Wow, Ken, thank you.
Guys, this is... Fact check me on this,
We
Kayla.
should put special guest Ken Griffey Jr. on this.
Yeah. Just to draw people in.
Yeah.
Anything we can do.
What am I fact checking?
I think that we have only just the three of us done. Got it. Jokic. I think that the three of us have only done 3 episodes this whole year so far of just us 3.
Wait, really? Is that true?
Only 3. The last time it was just the 3 of us, we were just talking about pornography.
That was the last time?
That was the last time. We had so many guests.
So many guests.
Doug ducked out on the Q&A. He was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Ooh, I don't know. I don't want someone to ask me about, I don't know,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Theology.
theology."
Yeah.
So it's good
I
to be
only want
back.
to talk about pornography.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, about,
Yeah, but
That's
let's,
the filter.
I think we covered that. The Austin 3 party returns. Here we are.
Back. We are back.
Great to be back with you guys.
the 3 best friends anyone could have.
Yes. So we should talk about the I Am series we've been doing.
Sure.
Because we've had a lot of guests. We haven't talked a lot about
That's
it.
right.
Yeah, so true.
We are 6 weeks in to a 7-week series. So
1 week to go.
We're right there.
Good job, Red.
Yeah.
Yep. Really good.
Right on the cusp.
You nailed it. You're
And
right. You are.
7, number of completion.
Yes.
So it makes sense
So we're almost there.
that Jesus
the
would
vine
pick
will be
7
the final
I
week.
am statements.
Correct.
And you will preach about that, Doug.
I will.
What is
Yep.
your favorite type of vine?
Grapes,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah. I don't know of any other vines.
You
really.
don't?
I guess
I like the app.
when you do your caffeine lesson, teach me on vines. You're like what?
The app Vine.
Yep. I heard
yeah.
that was just
That's right.
after. That was just a little after our time. I feel like. Did you guys ever have a vine?
D-Vine.
Was it like
I
you had
never
an
had a
account?
vine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had to have
Like
account.
TikTok kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just. I feel like we were just a little beyond that. Like we missed it. I'm talking age wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like TikTok.
Boo.
Right. We're
Yep.
way past that one. Yeah. But just a little
Way
past
too
vine.
old to have a TikTok
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
if you're out of high school. So,
But yeah, excited to preach about the vine.
Yes.
The
it's gonna be great,
final
man.
I am statement in the book of John, just to catch you up in case you don't know what we're talking about, the Gospel of John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Jesus makes 7 I am statements, much like Tony Stark at the end of the original Iron Man, when he says, I am Iron Man, and the credits roll.
But Jesus 7-ups him because he makes 7 statements.
Whoa.
7.
So we'll give
So I said you
Tony
had a 7-up.
the 8th best I am statement, but the first 7 belong to Jesus.
I'll tell you later.
Save it for the end of the episode.
yeah.
Find out at the end of this
Stay
episode.
tuned to the end of the
last time
episode.
Ryan had a 7-up.
How fast?
7 I am statements.
How fast can you say all 7?
Bread.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, let's time it.
Ugh. I'm actually gonna time you guys.
I'll do it with my glasses back on again.
Prove it.
All right. You ready, E?
Ready.
On your mark, get set, go.
Bread, light, door, shepherd, resurrection, and life. Way, truth, life. Fine.
Oh, I can't top that. Won't even try.
You don't think you can?
I was gonna say I am for all of them.
Yeah.
So
I was kind of hoping. I was kind of hoping you would.
Semantics.
I was kind of hoping you were gonna do
So
that.
much drama on this podcast.
that's all right, man. That's all right. You want to try to top it?
Sure.
What was my time?
Well, without saying I am,
Yeah, that was implied.
4.36. I bet I can do that with saying I am.
Okay, prove it.
Hold on a sec.
Seems like I bet I could run 2 laps as fast as you ran 1 lap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me when to go.
Ready, go.
I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection of life. I am the way, the truth, the life. I am the vine.
Oh no way, he did it.
4.70.
No, I think he did it though.
Yeah, Ryan was a little
it
late
seems
on
like-
the.
I was
Seems
a
like
little
you
late.
didn't though, because he didn't.
We can
Can we
throw the
get
challenge
somebody
flag.
who's ever touched a stopwatch before?
And
job, Doug.
the vine.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Good job, Doug.
Thank
Really-
you.
That was really fast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
I will say.
I know.
All right. Has there been one specific statement that has, obviously they're all very important, but
Yeah.
one that stuck
Yeah.
out to you the most? Maybe one that you hadn't thought as much about, or this year just kind of, as they say, hit different? Am I using that right?
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
It was really cool.
Light. So Jesus says, "I'm the light." It's all through John's gospel.
Yeah.
But it's also all through the Bible. And so I was writing the sermon, so I was more aware of it. But as I've been reading like Paul's letters, even this morning in Ephesians, you start to see more and more like the imagery of light and darkness, and seeing Jesus being the light. And when the enemy tries to block out the sun for 2 minutes, everybody just freaks out.
Wow.
Total
Are you
eclipse.
saying the moon is our enemy?
Yeah, the moon comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but the sun comes that we may have. No, I am the light has really illuminated a lot for me.
Wow.
This year.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
I like that. The resurrection and the life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was the for Easter. Really enjoyed preaching on that. And I saw it for the first time from John's perspective, the author, hence John 10:10,
Creative
and John
title. Yeah.
11:25. But John 10:10, he says like, Jesus has come so that you might have life and life to the full. But I always, I pictured it because John was, before he met Jesus, John was totally just kind of fine. And usually when we read the Gospels, we always think of people who are so desperate and they're hungry, they're starving, they're sick,
Yeah.
they're blind, they're in some state of desperation, and then they meet Jesus and he changes everything. But John wasn't that. He was just kind of fine. I think maybe a different form of brokenness that doesn't really look or feel like brokenness. He had a fishing business with his brother and his dad, made a good paycheck, didn't need for much, until Jesus showed up and said, "Follow me." And then John left fine for more than fine. And he left life for life to the full. And realizing, I remember saying this on Easter, if you're fine, there's more. Because I think a lot of people in our congregation, in churches all over our country, relate to that. Honestly, I have seasons where I'm absolutely desperate for God to do something, but most of the time I'm just kind of fine. And so you don't know what you're missing. You know what I mean? Until Jesus interrupts your life. And then you realize anybody can experience life without knowing Jesus, but there's a fullness beyond it that only comes from knowing the creator behind the creation, like the giver behind the gifts, who thought you up and placed you into this life to enjoy it. And the more that you get to know him personally, it gives meaning to everything else, and you can enter into more than fine. And so I saw that from, John's perspective for the first time. I had never seen that. And it meant a lot to me to watch all those stories. And even Jesus saying, I am the resurrection and the life from the vantage point of John. Yeah. So that's my answer.
What's that old adage? If the enemy can't make you bad, he'll make you busy.
Yeah.
That idea of like, so often we just get super busy. How often is that our response to people when they ask us how we're doing? Oh, I'm just busy.
Every time.
And it's like we get to the end of our life and just realize, I was just busy the whole time.
Right.
And I was just sort of fine. I was just sort of getting by,
Yeah.
missing out on the abundant life that Jesus had for me the whole time.
Yeah. The resurrection, like as an alley-oop, that statement with the way, the truth, and the life stuck out to me a lot because obviously he makes the resurrection and the life statement in John 10 when he raises Lazarus, that story, which is well before the actual resurrection. So for him to say that and then tell them, I am the way, what came to life for me is as his body was in the tomb, all of the people that believed in him, his disciples, the women who were going to the tomb, it's like all of the angels, like everyone's just holding their breath, like, wait, what will happen?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean that you said you were the way? And then he starts breathing. And then they show up that stone is rolled away, like that he's actually alive. Them realizing that moment to me, that Easter moment is so sweet to me in light of the things he said leading up to that.
That's cool.
More so this year.
That's awesome,
cool.
man. Yeah.
It's been so fun doing this series.
Yeah.
That's all about Jesus around Easter.
Yeah.
Because it just makes the whole, like, makes Holy Week, the death and resurrection of Jesus, all that much more.
Yeah.
It's like every year, man, it becomes sweeter and scarier and sadder and all of the emotions to me.
Yeah, you feel it more deeply, all of them. Man. That's good. Yeah, I agree. And this series helped with that. Yeah. I feel lucky and blessed to get to be one of the teachers of the series. I feel like, the way to learn something and really know it is to have to teach it to somebody else. You have to know it on a different level. And so you're kind of forced to get it, internalize it into your head and your heart all week long. And then while you even teach it to everybody else, and then you see light bulbs going off, it like solidifies it in your heart even more.
Yeah. They're very weighty statements.
Yes.
And so there's a really cool part of that that's like, man, to unpack this beautiful, amazing thing that Jesus has shared with us, this revelation that he's given us, is awesome.
Right.
And it's heavy in the same way because there's some people that are not going to agree with this or like what's being said. It's going to offend.
Yeah. Okay.
people
So with
as well.
that said, you just preached, I am the way, the truth, the life.
Yeah.
The, not a way, a truth, a life.
Right. I just
A
realized
few
that's so
people, you did.
Sorry about that. Be professional.
For once in your life, Ethan.
Ethan, you got something right there? What is that? Oh, it's
It's
Eclipse
my
glasses.
Eclipse glasses.
Okay. A few people walked out.
Yeah.
Tell us about the part they walked out on.
The 10. So that Sunday preaching was probably the loneliest day of preaching I've ever had.
Okay.
And not because like it was like, you guys don't care or anything about people. It just being on stage with that, like James and I were talking last night because he preached the way, the truth, and life in Denver. And he was like, all the other statements have like some metaphor and some like things to do. And it's like, this is just such a direct statement. It's not really like, I need to explain this too deeply.
Right.
Like, this is just what he said.
Right.
And knowing, and I love this about our church, but our Saturday night crew is probably more people who have been following the way of Jesus. And I would just guess that because you could feel it in the room.
Right.
It's more people who aren't coming to try to figure this out. It's more people who are growing, who are on the journey already. Part of that is illuminated to me because they were willing to come on Saturday night to make room for new people on Sunday. So they get the mission. I know for some people maybe it's just their schedule, but our Sunday crowd, which is so cool, is a lot of spiritual seekers who are coming trying to navigate the world of New Age and all the things that I talked about.
Yep.
It's a lot of people who maybe haven't been in church in a while, maybe burned Bible Belt kids. Like, so there's a lot of people coming from different backgrounds in the room.
Yeah.
And to talk that directly, which I love to do, but it just felt like, man, I know that there's people in here right now that everything I'm saying is like, they're really upset about it.
Yeah.
And I think when I broke into, hey, I'm not attacking these religions, but here's what they believe.
Yeah.
And here's what makes Jesus different.
Yeah.
And to be abundantly clear to say that Jesus is not saying that all roads lead
Yeah.
He's saying it's only through him.
Yeah.
I think in both the 10:15 and the noon, I saw probably 3 or 4 people just leave.
Yeah.
At some point when I was very pointedly saying, this is who Jesus is and he's nothing less than this. And
But all you were doing was saying, hey, here's what this religion believes. Here's what this religion believes. Here's what this religion believes.
Yeah.
And, you know, I even think of like that coexist bumper sticker. And on one level, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, love everybody.
Totally.
And we can disagree to disagree. And we're in this together. And we can be friends and have great conversations via relationship.
Yeah.
But to take it to the level a lot of people take it to when they put that bumper sticker on their car, it's kind of like all these are right and respect all of them because, but none of those beliefs would say that all of these are right.
Yeah.
All of them are saying
Right.
this is an explicit, exclusive statement that this is the way.
Yeah.
This is the truth.
Yeah, the only way to get there is to know very little about what each of the religions and worldviews are
Correct.
actually saying.
What's interesting is the conversation that I've had in other countries with people of other faiths are not nearly as like contentious and volatile as Westerners who want everything to be right. And I don't know what exactly that is, but like we in Uganda was maybe, I think it's like one of the biggest mosques in the world.
Yeah.
So we went to see it and we met one of the imams there and we got to know him and we visited him 2 or 3 times and he gave us a Quran and we gave him a Bible and we would talk back and forth and ask questions and
It was awesome.
the hope. And I think a lot of people, maybe anytime you bring up other religions, think it's an us against them mentality and the hope is it's us for them.
Right.
But also with each of those religions, what you find is there's actually plenty of bridges between us to be able to have these conversations.
Of
like,
course.
they all actually acknowledge who Jesus, like Jesus is someone.
Right.
Like that's a bridge right there. Like, okay, but who is he? And let's break that down. Let's unpack that. Let's talk about eternity.
Even
let's
an
talk about our
atheist,
way there.
you said any atheist who has done any homework at all
Yeah.
knows that historically Jesus was a man who lived and shook things up in a big way.
Yeah. So it comes down to whether he was the way, the truth, and who he claimed to be. Or what other religions say is someone less. And but there's so many bridges and so many good conversations to have. And I think that because obviously I talked also about truth.
Right.
And we live in a time where everyone wants truth to be relative and everyone's truth to be true. When you make a very strong statement of truth, I think people don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of clarity is rare these days. And I think that's why Jesus forces everyone to in the end have an answer about who he is because he's so clear.
Yeah.
He speaks in parables, and then by the time he's at the Last Supper, he's like, I'm not going to speak in parable here.
Right.
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Right.
No one comes to the Father except through me. You guys in this room got to know that first.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show this to you, but it's he shocks people.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you've only seen him ever as like the hippie.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking the claims he makes. So yes, I mean, you guys have had people walk out of your sermons before, and
yeah.
I think I had somebody ask me, they're like, somebody near me walked out. Like, what does that make you feel like? And I was like, if I said something that was my thing, like if I was being rude or like, you know, I would feel bad
opinionated.
about that. I would feel bad about that.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking just with clarity what Jesus says,
And you're kind of standing up for him.
then that's what like. That's my job as a pastor. And what breaks my heart though is for the people that walk out. I'm like, you're the exact person that I want to know this.
Yes.
You know, like
I know.
people who I'm not going to come to this church. I'm not going to be here anymore because this is the claim they're making about Jesus. I'm like, you don't understand how good of news this is for you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wade back out into all these other places that are going to confuse you and lead you into darkness and lead you away from life.
Yeah.
If you can't just let Jesus be who he really is. And that's what is heartbreaking to me.
Yeah. And the walkout is symptomatic of that, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to get to a point where we can sit through 35 minutes of somebody we disagree with and go, okay, that's interesting. That's not my worldview, but it's interesting to hear that take.
Especially if you came to a Christian church.
Yeah, but even just in general, man.
Yeah.
Like we're now at a point where we can't even listen to each other.
Right.
And in the under the disguise of we want everyone to be accepted, it's actually we don't want to talk about anything serious ever at all.
Right.
And now what's happened is congruent worldviews has become a prerequisite for friendship. And it's like,
Wow, that's
where did we get to that point? Like since when do we have to believe all the same things to hang out?
Right.
And actually conversation and discussion is where all the life change happens. That's where all the fruit happens. But we don't do that. Instead, we just throw stones at each other or walk out or whatever. And it's like, guys, let's just talk.
Didn't you worked with a rabbi on a project, and didn't he kind of make fun of our culture and how bad we are at conversation?
So it's so good, man. Because like debate is just what they do.
Right.
And by the way, Jesus was a rabbi. And so like when he says, you've heard it said, but I say to you, right? That like what he's doing is he's trying to go, hey, here's your worldview right now. Let me give you a different way to think about it. And by the way, I would love to hear your response to this statement that I'm making.
Absolutely.
Like, that's such a beautiful thing.
It's iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, dude, we just completely lost
Can't do it. But it also when it comes to like the Christian church, I think is concerning in a way because it's if people show up and they're shocked to hear that you're preaching that Jesus is the only way,
Right.
they're like, what are we doing? If that's surprising to people in our culture, that Christians are clear that Jesus is the only way, then that concerns me.
Man, you got to feel, though, you said like you feel lonely in those moments preaching, but you got to feel like really close to Jesus.
Yeah, that was,
You know what
I'm
I
glad
mean?
you said that.
Yeah.
I feel it's like you get a tiny little piece,
Exactly.
not even ever going to compare to what he,
But it's something.
but you get a little
it's
taste
more
of
than
how
the norm.
Because like in John 6, it says this is a hard teaching. Who can believe? People left him.
Yeah.
And it said many people stopped following him because of things he said.
Dude, a whole bunch
and
of
I think we forget that sometimes. And our goal is never for people to leave and never come back. But there will be people that do that. Because the gospel is very clear, and if you can't accept it, then you're going to go look somewhere else for your salvation.
If we're just being clear, it is offensive. Like we're telling people that you can't get there on your own, so you have to die to yourself.
right,
It's pretty offensive statement to make.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I see that. Like I see why that would rub people the wrong way. Of course.
totally.
And to your point, a whole bunch of people hung out with Jesus while he was multiplying food and feeding them. And then when he would make those harder statements, they'd be like, "Nope,
Nah, man,
we're out of here."
because I want to do this my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the elephant parable. Let's break that down one more time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 6 blind men. They each have a different approach. One feels the side and thinks an elephant's a wall. One feels the trunk, thinks an elephant's a snake.
Yeah.
I could put these glasses on actually. One feels the tusk and think it's a spear.
Yes.
One feels the leg and thinks it's a tree.
Yeah.
One feels the ear and thinks it's a fan, which was the one that I was like, what kind of fan is that? I don't know. And then the tail was the rope. And it's sometimes like as a kid's story, like, hey, we don't need to fight if we all have different perspectives, which is good.
Great. Yeah.
From the religious standpoint, it's used as a universalistic view that all roads lead to the elephant, God, whatever is the universe, whatever's beyond this. Everyone's just got their little piece. And we are basically blind. There's no way we can really know God. Or anything about him.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Tim Keller pointed out that I pointed out is the pride of the narrator is the problem with the story.
Yeah. Right.
That many people in our culture live with. To say, I actually do know who the elephant is, and it's all of this stuff.
Right.
I know that this all works together, while none of those blind men, as they call us, would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very flawed.
Yeah. To say that you are, to make the claim, everybody, the kind of coexist to the extreme, everybody's got a piece of it. All roads lead to the same place. Like, let's just, come on, guys.
Yeah.
That sounds like the most humble position to take.
Right.
But actually, it's the exact opposite because what it implies, you are the narrator of that elephant parable, and you are saying, without saying it, you are the only person who's not blind.
Yeah.
And you can see the whole elephant to know all y'all are blind and just see part of it.
Yep. It's basically the narrator's walking past a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist in Home Depot and going, I know more than you. Like Ron
Exactly.
Swanson. That's basically what it is. Don't talk to me. I know more than you.
Dude,
You're all blind.
Cute little faith that you have.
Yeah.
I was
But you're not
years
right.
ago explaining that to somebody at a coffee shop who, like, pastoral meeting, they invited me. They were trying to figure things out, and they're asking me these questions. And so I start talking about the blind men and the elephant, and a person at the table next to me, I'm halfway through explaining it, stands up, walks over, and goes, "You're so close-minded. These objective truth claims that you're making, you're so close-minded," and stormed out of the coffee shop.
My God.
And like as I'm trying to like talk to him,
Man.
and
Dude, I'm so sorry about whatever church you went to as a kid, but this is not my fault. Like, that's like years of baggage coming out.
Yeah.
And
Holy
I was
cow.
sitting there going, wait a second. He's mad at me because he thinks I'm making an objective truth claim. Meanwhile, he's making an objective truth claim that I'm wrong.
Right.
The only difference is I got invited into this conversation and he did not. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the only difference.
That's the only difference.
And the thing is, people are like, well, you're so close-minded. You're so prideful. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus made this claim.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm echoing and believing the claim that he made.
That's good.
Yeah.
He's the one who made this claim ultimately. And you can put that up against the claim
Right.
of Krishna or Muhammad or
Sure.
Buddha. It's those claims that were made.
Right.
We're all choosing which claim we're going to believe in.
That's good.
Ultimately.
Yeah, what we're
I'm not
saying
saying
is-
that I'm the guy who knows all of this. I'm saying that I believe in the guy who does.
You landed
Right.
on a worldview, and it's that Jesus is Lord.
Correct.
That
Right.
Jesus is King.
But man,
Because that's
even
what he said.
And so I'm evangelizing, trying to get
that's
the person
you
who
can't
invited
say
me.
there's objective truth. I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't say there's no truth because that's an objective truth claim
Dude,
that
wow.
you just
Just
made.
You
done
just
that.
did it.
And
But of
every,
course,
every religion makes one.
Yeah.
And Jesus is the only truth claim that showed up just as grace.
but he was.
And yeah, exactly, because here's the thing that all the world religions, and some people's Christianity looks like this, because I don't think they've actually grasped the gospel, but all world religions, while they each disagree with each other in doctrine, which way, which truth, which life, what they all agree on is that salvation is on you.
Right.
All of them say that.
Right.
Every single one. You have to earn your way to whatever it is.
Right.
And Jesus is the other option
Right.
to say, I am God who came to find you. I'm not
That's
here to
so
show you
good,
who he is,
man.
as Tim Cover said.
Yeah.
I didn't come to show you the way to God. I am God who's come to get you.
Exactly.
That's the difference between
so
those two
good,
categories. And so you have to do something with that. But back to your point of like discourse and conversation, we could sit in that mosque with that imam and he loved it.
Loved it.
Knows that we completely
dude.
disagree on stuff.
We had a great time.
But we have bridges to each other. We're all trying to deepen our and grow
Yes.
and understand, and we can have, and he can bring up good points, and we can like that should be the way this is.
And
You
to take that
not
further,
be soft.
like he can teach us.
Yeah.
Disagree with his worldview. He also can teach us something about devotion and dedication.
Oh, 100%.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
consistency.
Self-control.
Self-control.
Yes.
So there's so much that we can learn from him if we
Yeah.
can just learn to be humans. Like back to that coffee shop example, I was explaining that blind man and the elephant analogy, and then the person I was explaining it to was going to give me his thoughts about it. And we were going to go back and forth, and it was going to be this civil discourse.
Yeah.
The third person that just stormed off didn't want anything to do with the conversation.
No,
right?
no.
So let it be how about this? Let conversations about worldview be conversation starters instead of conversation enders.
Yeah.
And take a humble posture of what can I learn from you? Because that'll make the person you're having a conversation with,
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
like, it'll mess with them in a great way. I remember before we moved about a year ago, my last neighborhood, I had a neighbor who not a Christian at all. And we disagreed. We had some conversations where we disagreed on stuff. But I remember thinking, you're a better neighbor than me, though.
Oof.
You're the host of all the block parties. You're knocking on doors when there's a blizzard. You know what I mean? And I can learn. I'm the Christian who can learn a thing or two from you, the atheist, on how to be a better neighbor.
That's so good.
Yeah. Remember, I told him that, and that was like, that's
cool.
Yeah, it messed with him in a good way. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also like for me, having conversations with people of other faiths has challenged me in good ways and deepened my faith.
Yeah.
Where I actually can walk away from a conversation like it's like I know more of your perspective and things, and not to like speak badly of you, but it just makes me all the more thankful for Jesus.
Yeah.
Like it's grown my faith and
Yeah.
deepened my love for Jesus because I see the chains that so many people live in
Yeah.
with religion telling them this is on your shoulders to figure this out, or with a new age person who's has no answers for any of my questions and is so confused and lost and being told that they're going to find enlightenment and more truth and truth and truth and getting more and more confused. And it makes me so thankful for the clarity of Jesus and the goodness. And that's ultimately the hope is what people will hear is like all of these claims have been based on a person saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the answer. I have this download or whatever.
Right.
The claim of Jesus is a claim that he made backed up with an event.
Right.
And that's what Christianity is based on. It's not the claims, it's the event that proved the claims of the resurrection.
An event of self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice
Yeah.
and resurrection.
Yeah.
And that means you don't
The
need
ultimate.
any of
Yeah.
these other things. There don't need to be
Exactly.
chains on you. There doesn't need to be confusion.
Exactly.
All you need is him because he's made the way. And so at the same time, while there were a few people who walked out, and my hope and prayer is that they will go after God and be like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And he'll answer them
Yeah.
and meet them
Good.
in that.
Great.
There were
Absolutely.
also people who there were people who just put their faith in Jesus and realized like, this is all I need.
Yeah.
And the clarity of that, which is a really beautiful thing. So yeah, it was quite a weekend.
Yeah, man. Great job.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, man, that's tough. With I was thinking one more time about that narrator of that elephant story. Where I feel like, even when you said a quick synopsis of like, hey, by the way, all these religions, can I give you a one sentence? And I'm just saying what those religions claim.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And some people are like, yeah, you can't. Wait, no, I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm just saying what they believe.
Because I think a lot of people in our generation, millennials and Gen Z, kind of throw out like the word, well, Christianity is this country club for people who think they're better than everybody else and this exclusive. And so let's in the name of compassion and inclusivity, we're way more into all these other ideologies and kind of like a syncretism of I'll take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and include a little bit of Jesus as the nice guy supplement here to make you more loving and compassionate, just like him. And it sounds like, man, that is the most loving route to go, and it's so compassionate. But at the end of the day, Jesus, who is love, is grace and truth. And I feel like even before he's compassionate, he is grace and he is truth. Which what I'm saying is compassion is not God. God is compassionate. And when you make compassion just God, then you become the arrogant one who virtue signals using a lot of these, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of syncretism. And in reality, it's, and you're not meaning to, but it's like you're claiming to be the only one of us who's not blind. And that's why it takes a great amount of humility to say, to follow Jesus. It's not an arrogant thing. I say that a lot. Like, I'm a Christian not because I think I'm better than you. I'm a Christian because I know I'm not. I had to get saved because we couldn't save ourselves. We all needed a savior, and I'm a sinner, and I couldn't get my way to heaven if I tried. That is not arrogant. And saying, God, you have a specific way, and there's a truth about you. And even when I don't fully understand it, and even sometimes if I kind of disagree with it in the short term, I'm still going to submit myself to it and come beneath that. And that's arrogant. And meanwhile, do you and live your truth and be what you like. That is considered humility, and you know what I mean? But that is putting yourself on the throne of your heart. And this is saying, I'm not God. And I will submit myself to this greater truth, this greater life, in this greater way.
That's great. Yeah, so maybe the parable would make more sense if it was really that you have a couple different narrators sitting around a table, each explaining the elephant to you, and you have to decide which one of these guys do I believe.
Yeah, there you go.
And Jesus is one of those guys at the table going, guys, you can't do this on your own. I can only do this for you, and I've done it for you.
I've done it.
So it's of those narrators, who are you going to believe?
And Jesus' narrative is dramatically different than the other ones that say, here are all the things you got to do. Here are the things you need to say. Here are the things you need to not say. And if you do that, then you can get there.
And I think it speaks to what's interesting is that grace and freedom are so foreign to us as broken human beings. It's almost like we reject and repel that one the most because it feels too hard for us to actually believe. Like, it's more comfortable to believe religion that gives me the control. That I can do enough and I can please the gods or God on my good behavior and my scale is almost more comfortable for us.
For sure.
The most comfortable is just, there's no bigger thing and I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
Right.
You know, then I'm just gonna go live in anarchy. But then the next step, if you don't actually buy that narrative, is, well, then give me the task and the control. And the hardest thing is to open your hands and go, it's only by his grace. And I'm actually called to not live a life of my performance. It's just freedom from here to go live and tell everybody about him. It's the best news you could have, but we can't take good news on, which is the world we live in, right? People probably fighting over the eclipse, to bring it full circle. Like, just something cool. We will find a way to divide it and make it negative somehow.
Self-sabotage, man. We're allergic to good.
Truly. And you know what? Also, when I was thinking about the universalist, for some of them, it's just, maybe it's a prideful thing. I think for some people, they're so deeply compassionate and loving.
For sure.
That they lay awake thinking of people of other faiths. Well, how does this all play out? And what about somebody in another country and stuff like that? And I'm like, you will be the best follower of Jesus because of your compassion and love if you can direct that to him and the gospel and the truth of it, because you're going to want to go tell everybody.
That's really good news.
You're going to want everybody to know Jesus because you're so loving.
You feel that's a burden, and there's a reason you lay awake in bed at night with that burden.
Absolutely.
That's a need.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Yeah. And what's cool, just to add this in, because I think some people do have the question about, well, what about parts of the world where those religions are the native religions? And how does this?
Yeah.
There are so many cool things happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
And part of that, James talked about it up in Denver. You'll hear all over the place in the Middle East that there are dreams people are having of the man in white. There's ad campaigns.
Wow.
Have you seen the man in white? Who is this? People are trying to find their way to Christian churches, and it's very high stakes and high security and stuff, where through dreams, Jesus is speaking to people and calling them to himself. There's been imams who have left mosques because Jesus speaks to them and says, I'm kind of like the Apostle Paul. I know there's some people that are like, that's not how this stuff works, like cessationists or whatever. I'm like, okay, but the Apostle Paul had a revelation where Jesus spoke to him, resurrected Jesus, and that's happening to people who are, hey, I'm not a prophet.
Right.
I am Lord.
It's
and
wild,
turning their faith in him.
So why are we arguing about the means to get us there?
I know. But at the same time, there are missionaries and there are pastors and people who lay awake at night thinking of people who don't know Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they've devoted their lives to going to those places. We partner with some of those amazing organizations that are underground that are doing everything they can to share the good news of Jesus in other places.
Yeah.
And that's not them trying to go, convert people for a statistic or to impose on people. It's because they understand the good news of Jesus.
Right.
And they want people that are in chains to be freed.
Right.
That's what they're doing.
And it's happening
All over the world.
right
The
now.
church in the Middle East and in China is on fire. It makes the Western church look like we're a little match.
Well, there's even movements right now, like in Britain,
Yeah.
of awakenings happening.
Yeah.
And that's in Western Europe, where,
Yeah.
we did a little staff devo yesterday where a lot of Western Europe, you go and see beautiful churches, but you go not to worship, you go to see some cool architecture.
Yeah,
Because back in the day, people worshiped there. But now it's just, there's been like a coldness and a spiritual dryness, and now a hunger, and now an awakening happening all over.
Yeah.
It's truly the tide of Christianity is coming in.
Yeah.
And it was out far.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about tides, the farther out it is, the more power it comes in with.
Absolutely.
So, do you think Jesus is coming back soon?
Ooh, we could title an episode that.
Yeah.
I do think that there is an awakening happening in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a spiritual reason ultimately behind that, but I think part of this is because the world is so uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
With war, with the economy, when the world's super comfortable, at least we live in the Western world, so I can speak for that. When the Western world's been super comfortable, it's kind of like, I don't need to think about faith. I kind of have everything I need.
Yeah.
Everything's good, But when the world is seemingly on fire and there's so many conflicts and things going on, it forces everybody to be like, one day this whole thing will end.
Right.
Starting with my life. I need to think about that.
Way more
I need to
temporary
answer
than
that
I
question,
thought.
Which is why
Yeah.
I said the most loving thing I can do as a pastor is confront you with the truth that Jesus is telling you, because you need to think about this.
You have to.
You need to answer this question, who is Jesus?
Yeah.
Because it matters.
Yeah.
It matters forever.
That's the feeling you get at a funeral.
Yeah.
It's sobriety of eternity. You sober up to the idea of eternity, and it forces you in a really healthy way. It's kind of like cold water.
Yeah.
And you hate it. It's like a shock in the moment, and then you walk away from that funeral thinking, I feel a lot more depth and meaning to my life right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm now thinking about forever and eternity and contemplating it and looking at what I kind of was ignoring, but now I can't.
Yeah.
And times like these force all of us to do
force
that.
sobriety right now.
Yes,
which is what we
exactly.
need. The
Oh,
world
yeah.
desperately needs. The church needs it.
Yeah.
Because we need to actually care
Yeah.
about people who don't know Jesus.
So in case there's one person listening to this, of the dozens of you who tune in.
Dozens.
Dozens
there's-
of dozens.
I don't know, because you brought up that question, like, well, what about the people, other languages? What about the guy on the deserted island?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What about him? And there's no missionary going to that island. Yeah. Well, you could be that missionary, first of all.
Yeah.
But second, you're not on an island.
Right.
So let's talk about you first.
You have
And
access
you-
to at least
you-
one podcast. We know that.
You're accountable to what you know.
Yeah.
Island guy doesn't know.
Yeah.
And Jesus doesn't need a missionary to reach him.
Jesus can reach people through a missionary. He can reach people through a dream. He
Absolutely.
will reach people.
So let's talk about you. Like the decision that you're going to make, sobered up to eternity with information that you know
Yeah.
about the one truth claim that showed up dressed as grace.
Yeah.
And it's time to confront that and come face to face.
Yeah,
with
you got to
it.
confront that and not use that question as a cop-out to not answer the question.
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people do. But again, also sometimes just a good heart that's like, what about? It's like, okay, well, God's sovereign and in control.
Yeah.
And there are people who reject God.
Yeah.
For
There
sure.
are people who reject Jesus as Lord. That's
sure.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
But let's start with you.
Yeah.
And then if
Right.
that is the thing that keeps you up at night, go to that island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go be that person that
Yeah.
shares the good news of Jesus.
Yeah. I think God talks to us a lot of times through our burdens. And
Absolutely.
through open doors and opportunities and through burdens.
That's great.
Yes.
And through passions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wasn't that Nehemiah who wanted to go rebuild the wall and he couldn't sleep at night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God spoke to him through this
Yeah.
thing that made him restless all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then he went and did it.
I remember
Yeah.
being
You
in
know?
a village in Haiti with a team, and there was an 18-year-old kid, super bright, had a huge future ahead of him. And one night he was just in tears, and he's like, I can't unsee this. The poverty is
Right.
the thing that really struck him, mixed with witchcraft in that village.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't unsee this, the way that people are living, like the darkness of the witchcraft, but how like poor they are and all this stuff. I don't know what to do. He was like kind of panicking.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the first thing you got to know is that God knows who these people are, and he's working here. That's why we got here in the first place. And second, this feels like a crushing weight right now, but it will become a blessing of a burden in your life because you will never be able to just go back to comfortable, because you'll know that you're here for a bigger purpose. And for the
Yeah.
rest of your life, you'll be haunted in a really good way. There are people that don't have what you have. There are people that don't know what you know.
Yeah.
And that actually will be the driver of your life if you let it in a really good way, that it's not on your shoulders, but it is your call
Dude.
to help
Yeah.
answer that for these people.
It's like, okay, when you take a burden, there's one of two things you can do with it. It can either turn into critique or calling. There's something there. We can run with
good.
it some other time.
Yeah.
But it's like the way that we usually handle burden is just by critiquing, throwing stones at whoever, or like that's what politics is, right?
Yeah.
We're just, we got this burden, so I'm just going to argue about how bad the political landscape is or whatever. It's like, what if you take that burden and turn that into a calling? And you go, okay, what is, like, if it's politics, not to bring that, although we'll get into that as we head into an election year, it's like, what is something proactive that you are doing to help bring change to your community?
Yeah.
You know, same thing with
good.
that burden of
Yeah.
poverty that guy in Haiti is feeling, is if you let it just simmer, the enemy loves to turn that burden into criticism and critique. But if you will allow God to work through it, it can become a calling, and it can become like an arrow, like a compass that's pointing you towards where God wants you to go.
Yeah.
It's a good question. When people ask, like, what is my purpose? Like, what keeps you up at night about this world and its brokenness?
Yeah.
You need to go dive into that with your gifts.
That's really good.
One of our friends who we partner with, the organization that he started, he just went to the Himalayas to trek, just a trekking trip, as people do, to go see the mountains and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And on the trip, they were going to stop in a village. And
Are you talking about Walter Mitty and the soccer game and the snow leopard?
Yeah, Walter Mitty
Okay.
Ministries.
Beautiful things don't
Mitty
demand
man.
attention.
In a village they were in, there was two men with a group of kids that were passing through, and very like openly shared that they had taken those kids and they were going to sell them in India into trafficking. So he's on a trekking trip just to have fun with some guys, and then learns that. And it was kind of like, I can't unsee this. He left the trip, went back home, and he went and sat down in his cubicle back here in the US and quit halfway through the day. And was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
If I know that that's happening right now, I just saw that, my life, something's got to change in my life.
Good.
And then devoted his life to what has become years and years and years of ministry, where so many people have been freed, people have found abundant life, and ultimately in a very, very dark place like the Himalayas, where you see the dark side of Buddhism, where you see the dark side of Hinduism, some really, really dark demonic things happening.
Yeah.
So many people have found Jesus and freedom through that. Churches planted in places
Unreal,
they've never
dude.
been before. The good news unlocked to people.
Yeah.
And beautiful stories also of villages they've come to, and people are asking, like, we've been hearing this name, who is this, who is this? Oh, we can tell you it's Jesus. And,
Yeah.
like crazy stories like
on.
that. But it started with a guy who just fell to burden.
Yeah.
And has now become a blessing to
Yeah.
generations of people that we won't even know this side of eternity. So hopefully that inspires people.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
To the good news of Jesus and what we actually get to do.
Good.
Yeah.
Like the disciples when they realized that salvation comes through no one else. So we're going to go risk our lives
And
and,
that's
go all
great
out.
news that it is specific.
Well, it's great news that salvation comes through no one else, because before that salvation came through no one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was you.
Dude, that's so
and that's
good.
not going to work.
And that's not going to work.
So the end of that John 6 story is after Jesus starts saying some really difficult things, a whole bunch of people walk away. And then Jesus turns back to the disciples, Peter and the guys, and goes, what about you? And Peter's response is, where else are we going to go?
Yeah.
Like, you have the words of eternal life.
Yeah.
Like Peter goes, I don't know much, which is shout out to Peter. That's why we resonate with him.
Yeah.
But I know enough to know that I can't save myself and I need you to be my savior. So where else would I go?
Yeah.
It's good.
And that's that point of beautiful surrender where Christianity just gets really, really fun.
Yeah, it's the point of no return. I can't go back. I've seen too much.
I've got
I
too
know
good of
too
news.
much. Got too good of
I don't
news.
want to unknow this news.
Yeah, and the fact that it's specific and there is like a truth claim is the greatest news ever, because in a world of murky confusion and everybody feeling like I'm not standing on anything sturdy, there's clarity and there's a firm foundation. And it's for everybody.
Yeah.
It's for whoever believes.
Yeah.
That's the only prereq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most inclusive, specific
Exactly.
statement that there is.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody and everybody. So to the people that maybe would walk out of a sermon like that, if they did this weekend, they're probably not listening to this podcast. But
Maybe.
if this kind of a conversation is offensive, if a truth claim of Jesus as being the only way is offensive, my challenge would be keep after him.
Yeah.
Challenge him, like go after him. Go read the Gospels.
Good.
Go actually seek him in that question.
Yeah.
Don't walk away from him.
Yeah.
And as you do, as you keep like, I want to learn more about this guy. I want to see what he said. You'll find that he like won't leave you alone.
Come on.
He will not leave you alone. And it's the most beautiful thing
Yep.
that there is. And people within our community, like, I love having these conversations. And I hope that there are more conversations where it doesn't become like, we're not going to be able to be friends anymore. I can't be like, let's dive into these things and actually talk real about this
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
So
We need
good.
to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
Good day.
Well, great
A
message.
good day.
Great message.
A great
Looking
day.
forward to the vine.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
And another
Do you-
eclipse.
can
I'm
you-
looking forward to hearing what I'm going to say
50
because I
years.
don't know
Will the
what I'm gonna
message
say.
be divine?
Divine. He is divine.
Jesus is divine.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Kayla, any last thoughts?
Nope.
Cool.
That's great message, guys.
Thanks, Kayla.
Thanks, Kayla.
Next
No problem.
week, we will return
Yep.
with Corey Miller.
Corey Miller.
Corey Miller.
Gonna
It's
be
going to
so
be
good.
awesome.
Yes.
And if you've made it to the end of this episode, thank you for being part of the Afterthoughts family.
Yes.
We love all of you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps. Like these videos. That helps. Leave a comment. That helps. Share it with somebody. That helps. And this conversation would probably start a really cool conversation in your small group or with some friends. So
Let's go.
That's
share
right.
it with somebody. And thank you to AG1.
AG1.
Happy Eclipse Week.
Peace out.
Let's go.